Meanwhile, according to a new CBS poll, the number of people who approve of President Trump's job performance is dropping. His approval rating sits at 36%. It's the lowest since he took office. 57% disapprove of how he's handling the Oval Office.
Mr. Trump also lost support among some Republicans. 72% of them approve of his job performance. That's down from 83% at the president's 100-day mark. For a deeper look into the newest polls, let's bring in CBS News Elections and Surveys Director Anthony Salvanto. Anthony, great to see you.
How are you guys?
Good. So, poll numbers keep going down. What is the driving force likely behind all of this?
Right now, it's clearly his handling of the Russia investigation, because what happens is he gets higher ratings on things like handling terrorism, handling the economy, than he does for handling that by a wide margin, and even among Republicans, as you mentioned. And, you know, that isn't to say that they don't still support him generally or that they don't like him. But specifically on his handling of that, you see these big differences, and you also see that they are, when Republicans tend to think that the matter is serious, not that they did anything wrong, but that it's serious and that really the investigation should just take its course, they're more likely to disapprove of him, and so that's what's really a drag on his overall numbers for the moment.
What jumped out at you as the most surprising result out of these numbers?
Yeah, well, that movement among Republicans is something we haven't seen before.
Right.
I mean, we've talked a long time this year about how his base is solid. That is still true, but there is a smaller subset of Republicans who are much more conditional on this. They want to see him pass legislation. They want policies to go through, and you get the impression that here that they would just like this to necessarily go away or run its course. They think that the special counsel is going to be impartial. It's just really a matter of getting to the bottom of things and then moving on.
Anthony, let's talk about Congress. Most Americans are unhappy with lawmakers' performance. We're seeing that special election play out there in Georgia today, and that's, everybody's saying this could be a referendum on Trump's agenda. What's behind this anti-sentiment that you see among Congress and the special elections across the country?
Well, first of all, I always say special elections don't predict anything. So nobody should use this and say, oh, who's going to win or lose in the midterms? They're a year and a half off. But in this particular special election, yes, the president has been part of the argument. He's not the only argument. Health care is also part of the argument. And what you do see are two things. One is that Democrats have not yet, in this poll, established nationally the idea that they are a viable alternative to Republicans in control of Congress. So what that tells you is they still have a long way to go, regardless of what happens tonight, to make this a national referendum on control. Folks in the poll say they don't necessarily think things would change if Democrats were in control. Again, sort of an isolated case. What will happen tonight, though, is that whoever wins will take it politically as, oh, we tested our message and we won. And so that could spur more donors to come in and maybe more candidates to go and run next year, and that could have a ripple effect.
Okay, so another interesting poll found that Americans believe the current U.S. political debate is becoming increasingly uncivil, which is an interesting word there. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, large majorities feel that it's gotten worse, that civility and the tone and tenor of things have gotten worse over recent years. And even more than that, large majorities feel that the political rhetoric is inciting violence among some people. That sounds bleak. It is a pessimistic message.
Do they actually make a connection to the congressional shooting last week?
Well, we asked this obviously in the wake of that shooting, so that might be top of mind for a lot of folks. And that was widely discussed after the shooting, of course. But what you also note is that when we ask people, well, okay, is the other side, the people you disagree with politically, are they just folks you disagree with, or are they really a threat to your way of life? And it's only a small minority that feels the second of those, that feels like they're the threat to their way of life. The majority of people just see the other side as people that they disagree with politically, and there's more optimism than pessimism that ultimately people can work out their differences. Maybe that means compromise. You come over to my side or I go over to your side. I get that. But there is more optimism out there. The trick is whether or not the folks who are in that core group who feel that the other side is a threat are dominating the debate, or whether that larger group of folks who just feel like it's a disagreement and nothing more are going to dominate the debate. And that's a question going forward.
Well, it certainly was good to see them come together briefly after the congressional baseball shooting. So, Anthony Salvanto, thanks so much. We always appreciate your time.
Thank you.